So, welcome everyone to the latest episode in a 6-part series we're making here at COP30 on energy efficiency and the built environment. And we're also focusing quite a bit on the Horizon and also the LIFE projects, Horizon being more sort of innovation projects and LIFE being more kind of environment projects that are also helping the European Union to innovate on this topic of energy efficiency and energy generally. We're delighted to have just talked to the Commissioner for Energy and Housing, Dan Jørgensen, a little bit about that, and he also made some comments clearly about the benefits of having these Horizon and LIFE projects. Now we've got some new guests, and we're going to talk a little bit more about this. And let me just welcome our first guest. It's Dr. Rhian-Mari Thomas. She's the CEO of the Green Finance Institute, and let's welcome you to the show here in Berlin at COP30.
Thanks very much, Nick. Delighted to be here.
Yeah. The conditions are not perfect here, so it's very noisy in the studio, isn't it, with all the air conditioners blasting out. I hope they're environmentally friendly, but we'll keep our fingers crossed. Rhian, tell the audience a little bit, what is the Green Finance Institute and its relevance for decarbonising the built environment?
Well, thanks very much for the opportunity to showcase some of our work. The Green Finance Institute, we're now 6 years old. We initially started in London, but we are now almost 83 in number across 10 different countries. We work very closely with governments, with industry, and with finance providers to figure out how do we get more government balance sheet and private capital into solutions such as the built environment or transport or carbon dioxide removal, sustainable aviation fuel, and as well as nature-based solutions. So this sounds pretty accepted way of working these days, but 6 years ago that was a pretty bold idea that in order for us to actually mobilize more capital, we shouldn't focus on greening finance as a sector, but instead we should focus on how do we finance green. So very much using the finance industry as the facilitator for the real economy transitions we want to see in things like energy efficiency and the built environment. And I use the word facilitator very advisedly because obviously the policymakers are the enabler and we need to work hand in hand with them, which is why coming to COP is so important, because this is where you actually bring together those different stakeholders and actually have those conversations and have those collaborations and actually move forward.
One of the main themes today in this 6-part series is to look at energy efficiency as a service. And I was trying to think about that a little bit myself, because I don't own a car. I live in Berlin. I don't own a car, but I can get a car if I want it with an app. So I don't have ownership of a motor car. I don't think this is exactly a perfect example, but there is this sense of not owning things, but sort of borrowing them, leasing them, whatever. Is this an emerging idea in the built environment and energy efficiency?
That's a great analogy, actually. It's perfect in that rather than actually owning the infrastructure for your home or for your business, you actually lease the energy. So the way it would work in a residential setting, for example, is you pay a predictable fee every month for an energy service provider to provide you with a comfortable home. So in times of unpredictable energy prices, you can see the appeal to that. You also, as a consumer, get over the issue of the upfront cost. That upfront cost does get passed on to the service provider. Somebody's actually got to pay the capital for low carbon technologies, but it makes it more appealing for the consumer, which is why we're seeing this grow. And as you say, people are getting their heads around this idea of not actually owning their own assets, but leasing them. And good on you for not owning a car, by the way.
I do own a bicycle as well, so I have some responsibility. Okay, stay with us, please. Rosalinde, we're going to go to Rosalinde van der Vlies. And I'm just scrolling down my little thing here. She is Director of Just Transition, Consumers, Energy Efficiency and Innovation at the European Commission. So quite a small portfolio there. And Rosalinde, lovely to see you coming in on the magic of Zoom. Tell us a little bit about how you see this energy efficiency on demand concept, energy efficiency as a service.
Yeah, hi Nick, great to see you. And indeed, great analogy. I mean, I always say to people that energy efficiency as a service, it's kind of like Netflix for energy. So, you pay a fixed fee and you can just, like choose your services. So really cool. So as a European Commission, we are really promoting this energy efficiency as a service. We have enshrined it in our EU legislation. So we really encourage our member states as well to make sure that there is an enabling framework for energy service providers to really make sure that they can provide these services. And the idea is really that, much more people are starting to, see energy also as a service and not something that they need to basically purchase big heat pumps or other things in their houses. And it's also really cool that we have specific projects that we are funding through our EU funding projects like Horizon Europe, but also our LIFE program on clean energy transition, that we really want to develop concept like smart energy services to really make sure that this will become more innovative and also more widespread in the European Union and beyond, of course, as well.
Sam provided with me my glasses, which is really handy. It was just a bit of a panic when the Energy and Housing Commissioner turned up, and we thought, oh my God, he's not coming. And I was just standing around, and then suddenly, whang, we're in the studio for an interview. Rosalinde, that's great. Just to say, there seems a lot of interest in this issue of energy efficiency on demand, energy as a efficiency as a service from the small and the medium-sized companies in the EU. And there was a bit of a conversation here a few days ago. We had the European Investment Bank with us, and of course they're putting a substantial amount of money into energy efficiency right now, aimed at the small and medium-sized enterprises. And I think we're all hoping that energy as a service will be certainly part of that. Not least because they're working with Bertrand Piccard, the solar pulse explorer with the solar powered plane, who's got this now institute working on that. Do you think this could be a game changer with the European Investment Bank, really getting involved in this right now?
Absolutely, Nick. And I'm really impressed with what you learned about energy efficiency. But as a European Commission, we love to partner with the European Investment Bank, particularly because the European Investment Bank can provide guarantees. So they have like specific financial services that they're offering that can really help to roll out the energy as a service companies. And with the money that the EIB is providing, we are also attracting a lot of private investments. And that's exactly what we want to do. We as a public policy maker, obviously we are investing in making sure that energy as a service can be rolled out, but we also need to leverage the private investments. And that's why we love to collaborate with the EIB. So the SME instrument that you mentioned that the EIB has launched, the EIB provides 17.5 billion euros in guarantees, and it's expected that over 350,000 SMEs in the European Union can benefit from that. And of course, we expect that the part will be dedicated also to energy as a service rollout.
Let's go now to Francois Johnston. Again, he's president of Johnston Circular and a key part of the team at Product as a Service to Accelerate Cooperation and Circular Transformation, or PACCT. Francois, tell us, what is PACCT first?
Yes, thank you very much, Nick. PACCT is a project funded by private companies and by ADEME. ADEME is the French governmental agency for sustainable development. And you have also Michelin company funding such the project, and the BASF company funding the project. And PACCT is about advocating for product as a service business models to accelerate the transition. The beauty of product as a service is the same as energy as a service. The minute the supplier commits to a result, instead of selling a product, you don't sell the product, you sell a result. The minute you commit to a result, your objective is to use as few energy or raw mats as possible for a given usage. Very simple example, when you sell mileage as a service, kilometers as a service, to transportation company as a tire supplier, your objective is to put as few tires as possible for a given mileage. The less tires you use, the higher your profitability. That's the mechanism of product as a service. Same for energy as a service. So you see that happening in many different industries. You see that happening in the tire industry, in the agricultural industry, in the build industry, which is the topic today. You've got Care, which is a company in Singapore offering air conditioning as a service, cooling as a service. You've got ETAP Lighting in the Netherlands offering light as a service. And these companies retain ownership of the assets, and therefore their objective for a given temperature in a building, for example, their objective is to use as few energy as possible. The less energy they will use, the higher their profitability. So it's not a very new idea, in fact, but it's being pulled and accelerated by the absolute necessity to disconnect economic activity from raw mat consumption. So PACCT is this network of 800 plus members in 20 plus countries in Europe advocating for such innovative models.
Efficiency or the built environment, could this be that products like, I don't know, heat pumps or digital systems for homes or factories could become products as a service as opposed to buying them?
Very much so, Nick. I'll give you an example of a companies producing dehydrators, okay, for the industry. So they're selling dehydrators machines to nuclear power plants or to companies producing whatever goods, where they need to control the air in the workshops. Instead, and we're working with them today, instead of selling dehydration machines, they want to sell a quality of the air in terms of temperature and level of humidity, and commit on a decrease of energy consumption. So instead of selling dehydration machines, they are shifting to selling air quality, taking the risk, sharing the risk with their end users of, ensuring the quality of the air. So that's exactly what's happening right now.
Okay, that's a really interesting concept. Okay, as we mentioned before, this collaborative series from COP30, it's coming with the European Commission's Energy Directorate and also the Global Covenant of Mayors. And we're trying to raise awareness to an extent of the Horizon and Life projects supported by the European Commission, trying to overcome some hurdles to, for example, energy efficiency. So let's hear it from two people who are going to talk about a very interesting LIFE project, EU LIFE project called We Share, which kind of really fits the theme here. Let's welcome first up Paul Robbrecht of POM Antwerp, who works on this, and also with him we've got Alessandra Cassisi, and she's working on that, and she's a director with the RIMOND Innovation Lab. I hope I've got everybody's affiliations correctly. And they're looking at sharing energy among firms in business parks. Now, first up, Paul, why would you want to do this? Why is it a good idea? And what's the overall aim? Paul, if you could start first.
Hi, Nick. Thank you for involving us in this program. Why should we do this? So we look at the business park at the hotspot of energy use, and these business parks are key in the energy transition. So that's the starting point. And what we do with the WeShare project is that we support the companies in improving their energy efficiency. So that's the link with previous discussed items. And we also maximize self-consumption. And all this results in a lower energy cost and steps towards decarbonization.
Okay, so that's the basic principle. Alexandra, what is your involvement in this?
I am the director of RIMOND Innovation Lab. RIMOND is an engineering, construction and technology company. We like to be challenged with really landmark projects, and we strongly believe that energy can change our point of view in terms of efficiency of construction. We are the coordinators of WeShare, and we are somehow trusting the model of a scalable and replicable business energy community. We see energy community as a pivotal model for the energy transition. This project has been financed, as you said, by the European Commission through the LIFE program with almost 2 million euros. We have 8 partners involved across Belgium, Portugal, and Spain, and we are representing businesses, industry, and also the public actors involved. Let's say we really see the future of energy as collaborative, as local, for a regeneration. So this is what we aim to do. If you want, I can just mention a few numbers for illustrating the impact of our projects. Through our business community, we want to avoid 2,700 tons of CO2 production, and we aim to produce locally 10 gigawatt hours of renewable energy. So this for us is really a strong impact and a very challenging project.
Lovely, thank you. Now, I was trying to Google yesterday how many business parks there are in the European Union, and I kind of gave up. There seemed to be a lot, let's put it that way. I mean, the potential for this is actually quite huge, right? You're doing something in Antwerp, I know, Paul, but there are obviously these other locations in other countries. But the European Union itself has loads and loads and loads of business parks. If we could scale this up across the European Union, then this could make a major contribution to energy efficiency savings and profitability of companies in the European Union. So when does this project end, and what are you going to do with it afterwards? Want to answer, Paul or Alexandra? Either of you can chirp in here with a reply.
Yes, if you want me just to mention, sorry, I forgot where we are working. That is very important. We are working in Belgium, in the municipality of Antwerp, in Portugal, close to the city of Sines and the port of Sines, and in Spain, close to the city of Madrid in Getafe municipality. So we are working in areas with a really very interesting industrial parks. And this is the way we want to try to test these models.
And maybe, Paul, just to you, what is the biggest challenge that you're facing in Antwerp? Is it trying to get the companies to understand how collaboration is a good thing, or what is your biggest challenge in implementing the project where you are?
Yeah, the biggest challenge is indeed, as you point out, that raise the awareness in the SMEs that the energy is a real main topic for them, because we have all regulations coming up, but also cost, and also we have the question of the energy security, also discussed previous. So this is really important to face this, and we think that and we prove it with our pilot cases, that we really can reduce the use of the fossil fuels, because of this project we maximize the self-consumption of the companies of their own locally produced renewable energy, and what they have in excess they can share in an energy community throughout the local ecosystem. So it means that the complete business park becomes more independent of the regular, let's say, grid. So we can move towards really make some steps, small steps, difficult steps, because it's very difficult to rate. And also that maybe also like to add that SMEs are really, energy is not their core business. They want to produce things, they want to sell things or whatever. So, but energy has really a big impact on their businesses. So I think it's important that there are intermediary organizations such as we do from the province of Antwerp in Belgium that they can support and support this SMEs in the steps towards the decarbonization. And also it's very important that we can rely on the support and regulation of the EU, but also by funding, like in this case the LIFE projects, where we can really show, because this is not like a book, this is really happening on the field. So as we speak, we are avoiding CO2, we are sharing energy, and we want to show that it's really working. So, and as you pointed out, Nick, there are a lot of business parks over, I can't assume how many. So if we can show on the small scale, on this pilot, that this is really working, and we can multiply it, we can have a really big impact.
Rhianna, you wanted to say something. I think you wanted to jump in, yeah?
Really did, because I felt there were some really important points made there. We've spoken to date about the benefits to consumers, and there is research showing that energy efficiency in homes can save up to 1/3 on energy bills, which is obviously key as we start trying to bring stakeholders with us on this journey. But some clear points also made about energy security, which is why energy efficiency is such a compelling topic. 2/3 of energy is wasted from its primary sources. That's something like 5% of global GDP, and something like 40% of overall fossil expenditure. And so when you look at that, that's doing nothing productive for the economy whatsoever. And so when it seems the appropriate comment to make as we're sitting here a stone's throw away from the UN negotiations, but the International Energy Authority has energy efficiency as its largest component of actually reducing emissions when it comes to energy by 2050. It's a key part of their scenario. So it sounds cliched, but it's a cliche for a good reason. The cleanest form of energy is the energy that you don't use at all.
Absolutely. There were some good numbers there, actually, which I didn't know. Rosalinde, just a reflection on what you're hearing a little bit. This is just a glimpse into one project among literally, it almost seems tens of thousands, but maybe it's just thousands of projects under Life and Horizon. But it's an interesting one, right? Because it's very practical, right? And quite straightforward.
Yes, absolutely, Nick. And for me, you really hit the nail on the hammer, or whatever the expression is, when you spoke about and asked the question, like, what are you going to do with the results? And how can we roll out the results, and make sure that, everywhere in Europe, these results are used? And I think that is a very big challenge that we are facing. So I think the project is doing amazing work, really demonstrating that this can work in 3 countries. But once the project is finalized, I think the most important thing is that we don't, go on to a new project, but that we actually, pause, and then we really try together to make sure that the results are replicated in many other different places, so that we can have a cumulative impact of this. And I think this is a big challenge, and that's why I think it's so important that we talk about these projects, we raise awareness, and that also maybe some other governments that may be watching today are thinking, hey, this is really great what's going on, in Antwerp. Once this project is finalized, maybe we can use this and also replicate it in our own country.
Rosalinde, when you're at these climate conferences, there's always a long conversation about so-called bankable projects that the rich countries can invest in the poorer countries, and always a complaint that there aren't enough bankable projects in Africa or Asia. But actually, this is also an issue in the European Union, right? So in other words, if these results that eventually come through from, say, this project we share, can be shown to be, as it were, bankable, then it could be kind of shuffled in line for a European Investment Bank funding that makes it replicable across the European Union and maybe even beyond. So maybe there's even a kind of strange process here going on behind the scenes of like a beauty competition, which I was totally unaware of, but I'm just guessing. But it's a thought, Rosalinde.
No, absolutely. I mean, I think we call it kind of like the innovation journey, where you start with research and development, then you demonstrate that actually, your solution can work in practice. And then it's a matter of scaling up and really deploying the solutions on the market. At this moment in the European Union, there are different funding instruments that come in at a different moment in the innovation journey, which makes it quite difficult for companies if they want to really move from the research to the real market deployment. This is something that we want to fix in the next multi-annual financial programming period of the European Union, with a proposal for a European Competitiveness Fund. And I think this is a big challenge, but I do think that, with this new proposal for the European Competitiveness Fund, we're moving in the right direction here.
Because I know that, and it's very kindly that you joined us on this show, because what you're doing is really fascinating. I mean, ultimately, we all want to be in the circular economy, don't we? Whether it's in energy or whether it's in anything, we want to be in the circular economy. That's where the cool place is. Which cool place is quite relevant when we're talking about climate change, I suppose. But Francois, I mean, you've heard this conversation. I know that you're dealing more on the product side of things, but circularity is still remarkably low in economies, isn't it, in terms of rates? I think the Netherlands is number 1. Is it 9% circular? And then it starts tailing off a bit. Can a mixture of products and the way we handle energy deliver a faster form of circularity? Maybe that's the way of putting it.
Yeah, you're very right, Nick. The problem with circularity, I mean, its rate of adoption right now, it's between 7% and 12% according to how you measure it in Europe, but it remains pretty low. And one of the major difficulties is the fact that companies struggle to make money with circularity, to make it super clear and super bluntly. People, be it in B2C or in B2B, do not pay a premium for green solutions. It is very unfortunate, but that's the reality of markets. People in B2B or in B2C don't pay a premium for green solutions. So companies have to struggle with that and to find innovative ways to bring value to consumers or to end users, and to improve their environmental footprint. And this is exactly what energy as a service or product as a service is doing, because you're not selling green solutions, you're selling a better life, easy to use, peace of mind. I mean, when Michelin is selling euros per kilometer instead of selling tires, it's not just another way to put products on the market. It's a way to commit towards safety and peace of mind for transportation companies. When, I don't know, ETAP Lighting is selling light as a service, they are not selling just green solutions. They are selling complete peace of mind solutions for their end users. And this is what end users are paying for. So that's why we believe that product as a service and energy as a service can transform the way people consume things, can transform consumption in Europe. And by the way, this is the reason why we are a candidate to the next Horizon financing, one of the Horizon financing projects with the PACCT community, because we strongly believe we have a massive lever to transform consumption in Europe, and that these new business models will accelerate circular solutions.
Things up indeed, Francois, and interesting to know about these new developments, Rosalinde, and also Francois, your perspective is very important indeed. Our wonderful guests doing the We Share. One thing I would say is I do know that there are some of the projects we've got in this series with heat pumps where they kind of do a bit what you're saying, Francois, which is they not only aggregate and bring together large numbers of buyers in terms of household heat pumps, you know, street by street, or streets by street, but they also bring in experts who reassure the householder how to actually, you know, work with a heat pump so people aren't scared of heat pumps. And this is also important, the psychological side to this story as well as the economic side. I think we're coming to the end of the show here. Rhian, it's been absolutely lovely to have you with us. Best of luck. You're working in Denmark, in the European Union, and which other countries?
And we have presence in Brussels as well.
In Brussels as well.
We do.
So it started off in Britain and now it's moving to Brussels. So, well, maybe not moving to Brussels, but staying in Britain. But it's nice that Britain's still doing things in Europe. Let's put it that way. I try to do my best as well. Thank you very much indeed, everybody. The next episode of Energy Efficiency First, which is the name of the series. I've said it so many times before, Rosalinde, that I forgot today, but that's what it's called. The next one is on the 18th, I think, and we're going to look at poverty and energy. And that's an interesting subject, all on its own, through the lens of Horizon and Life projects. Thanks, everybody, indeed. Bye.